All right. Top of the morning, top of the evening, top of the night, whatever time zone you are on, we are live. Hello, everybody. A moment of silence for all those who have lost their lives. All right. With that being said, let's remember this. If we can get up, we can go up. If we can look up, we can get up. If we can get up, we can go up. Let me break this volume down in the back just a little bit. Hopefully everybody has been doing the best that they can in the situation that they're in. Now, it's been a host of, things going on per usual. Police officers in Hollywood, killed by suspect police officer in Hollywood. Allegedly, another one allegedly took his lives. And remember, for me, when they say police took their lives, is always ruled as in a suspicious death for me. We need that information that they have. And we also need to know that it is indeed suicide and not foul play. And that's relating to all persons. Okay. It's just a host of things going on. Texas still shooting like the Wild Wild West. And it's not just Texas, it's happening throughout America. Now, let me go ahead and we're going to get to the music. And we're going to go off into this, and you see the title. And so you already know where I'm going. Many of you should know. Seems like another cover up. We don't need another 40. This is more than 48 hours. What? Almost 12 days in the cover up? Seems like another cover up. Let's go.
And don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination. Though you may find from time to time complications. Cannot slip. Just move on up for peace to find into the steeple of beautiful people where there's only one kind. So hush now, child, and don't cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Keep on wishing. Remember your dream is your only scheme. So keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey rumors people say till you can pass the test. Just move on up to a greater day. With just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just move
With that being said, let's get right into this. It is a whole set of information going on. The other video from the live stream I did that I am aware of is still blocked to date. But viewers' discretion is advised. Parental consent is necessary. Viewers' discretion is advised. Parental consent. This information is not for, this channel is not geared for minors. And we're going to get off into that now. Okay, let's go do this right here. All right, there we go. Let's get the share going on. Okay, no nonsense news. We actively stay engaged. Parental consent. I intentionally waited before I just wanted to discuss the Christina incident of the lady that was found in a police van in Alabama. And there's various reasons why. Now, with that being said, graphic content, parental consent, viewers' discretion is advised. So before we jump off into Christina being found in a police van within a police department's parking lot, which is an extremely suspicious death, let's get to this. Now, here we go again. So we talked about RICO, right? We know many of us are aware that the RICO case that was pertaining to Robert Sylvester Kelly, as well as the Mann Act. So here we go again. And this is why I say, now, when you open up a door and a verdict is rendered, and it's obvious prosecutorial misconduct being utilized and false statements have been admitted in the court of law, that is not an appropriate use of the judicial system here in the United States of America. So let me make it plain in saying such. So Cuba Gooding Jr., it's really small. Let's get to this. A little leaven, the whole lump. When you don't nip things in the bud, they'll fester.
Today, actor Cuba Gooding Jr. is expected to appear in a Manhattan courtroom. The 53-year-old actor is accused of groping 3 women in separate incidents in 2018 and 2019. 2 of the alleged incidents took place at Manhattan nightclubs. Details about the third have not been released. Prosecutors say they have more than a dozen women willing to testify about similar incidents in the past involving Gooding.
So there we go, which is one of the reasons that they got Robert Sylvester Kelly, because of
Today, actor Cuba Gooding.
And like I said, that's a serious thing. Now, from there, let's get to this other news. Let's get to real human trafficking. Let's get to real trafficking. Again, prosecutorial misconduct has no place in our judicial system and has no place in anything as it pertains to the law. So here, this is from today. A pastor, let me go here really quick. Let me show the pictures, show the images, and then we'll backtrack. All right. 125 males arrested in a real human trafficking scheme. Okay. And they have a right, Fifth Amendment, they have a right to a trial, a jury trial at that. However, 125 men have been arrested, including a pastor, including a teacher. So let's get to it.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here and joining us today. As sheriff, the safety and security of Hillsborough County is paramount. Unfortunately, within our community lie those who seek to exploit another through human trafficking. Hear me now. Individuals who make a conscious choice and effort to take advantage of others have no room here. To those who participate or are responsible for this type of shameful and repulsive activity, you will not get away with it. As a continuation of our effort to keep Hillsborough County safe, we strategically launch operations to catch these criminals and rescue victims trapped in the grasp of human trafficking. During our most recent 20-day operation named Operation Roundup, our undercover detectives arrested 125 men, and we freed 4 women and a 17-year-old from the heinous grasp of human trafficking. Throughout this operation, our detectives created undercover profiles online and chatted with men who believed they were speaking to minors, created false advertisements for sex, and undercover female detectives posed as streetwalkers. Among the men we encountered during Operation Roundup, our detectives arrested Joel Velasco, a Hillsborough County school teacher who offered to pay our undercover detectives $60 in exchange for sex. We also came into contact with Samuel Phillips Jr., a pastor at Bede Limitless Church, when he responded to a false ad placed on an escort website and offered to pay our undercover detective for sex. These men, who were all held to a higher standard of trust and respect, were arrested for soliciting another to commit prostitution. With the strategic use of social media, our detectives were also able to catch those attempting to take advantage of our most vulnerable, our children. Philip Villachetto is a 48-year-old man living in Valrico, Florida. We had the displeasure of meeting him when he engaged in conversation with our undercover detective posing as a minor and solicited sex. His messages, his intentions were clear and crude. Villachetto traveled to meet a 14-year-old girl, but instead was met by our detectives who immediately took him into custody. Once again, using our social media as veil, we apprehended Montasir Shafiq, a 30-year-old man from Lutz. He thought he was communicating with a 14-year-old boy. His text, too vile to fathom. Shafiq was arrested on multiple charges, including 30 counts of transmission of harmful material to a minor. Although this operation inches near Halloween, a time where our kids will take to the streets seeking some safe, wholesome fun, our approach year-round is proactive and relentless. We have a strong team of dedicated detectives who work tirelessly to put a stop to human trafficking. During our hotel operation, we had made more than 1,000 contacts, many that ended when they found out that they needed to travel into this county. Our efforts are working. Those criminals don't want to come to Hillsborough County to solicit sex. Our work doesn't stop here. The goal throughout this operation and others alike is to reduce the demand, rescue those in need, and help guide them to the proper resources.
Rescue those in need and to guide them to proper resources and help. Again, prosecutors' misconduct, there needs to be an end to immunity. Again, when I'm talking about Robert Sylvester Kelly's case, there were no sex trafficking as they convicted him of, no women being sold out for prostitution or anything like that. They were able to come and go as they pleased. It is in the transcript, it is on record, and we will let the record show. Furthermore, no one man is RICO. I showed Cuba Gooding Jr. at the beginning because now he's in court as of today for women alleging that he groped them, 3 women alleging that he groped them, and who knows what the other 9 women will say. And they're going to go all the way back. The reason I said what happened to Robert Sylvester Kelly was extremely dangerous was because they charged one person as an enterprise. No one person is an enterprise, period. And they used the Mann Act, which was named the White Slave Act of 1910, specifically targeting Black men who dated outside of their race. And again, he did not traffic those women. They pursued and sought him out, or they came and paid to see him perform at the venues where he was at. And I think people really need to be able to clearly define as well as interpret and know the difference. So again, gross misuse of the judicial system and prosecutorial misconduct needs to end completely, and that will be put in check by ending their immunity, period. No immunity for them. Now, having said that, let's roll on into Christina. Okay. So we're going to get down the forensic way tonight. Digital forensic way. Is that all right? Because some people are under the preconceived notion that she just mysteriously walked herself in the van and locked herself in for how many days on a police premises with video surveillance available. Yeah, high traffic area. Okay. The Department of Justice needs to investigate this case. There's a conflict of interest going on. Therefore, Alabama, the state of Alabama police officers need not even attempt to investigate this case. And we're going to get down tonight, but let's listen to him.
Sure. Yeah. So, well, first off, I appreciate you guys joining us this afternoon, to talk about the tragedy that we've been working on and working through here.
And I need you to know that I'm going to fast forward this. It is on YouTube. I'm going to fast forward through some of this and get to the timestamp that I really want to be at. But we'll listen to a bit of the intro.
Team and with the family to try to figure out exactly what happened. And so because there's so much information I want to share with you, normally I don't like to read to you, but I'm going to read all of this because we want to give you a lot of information that's detailed. So the Huntsville Police Department has worked with the family throughout our investigation, and this morning showed them the security video of the events leading up to the discovery of Miss Nance. The Huntsville Police Department's thoughts are with the family during this tragedy. Investigators met with the family Friday morning and showed them the security video of the events leading up to this. The Huntsville Police Department announced Friday, October 15th, information about how Christina Nance entered a parked, unoccupied police van in the rear corner of the parking lot at the Public Safety Complex here at 815 Wheeler Avenue. Ms. Nance's body was discovered by an officer who was walking through the parking lot on October 7th. The officer noticed shoes next to the van and approached, discovering Ms. Nance's body inside. Windows on the van were observed to be opened, and on this type of van, they popped outward. It wasn't that they were rolled down, they popped out. HPD has spent countless hours reviewing security video to determine the events leading up to Ms. Nance being in the parking lot and in that van. Security video from the City of Huntsville cameras attached to the public safety building were the ones that were reviewed the most, the ones that showed where the van was in the parking lot. Ms. Nance is observed in the video walking around the parking lot. She lays down in the bushes at some point, and again, we're going to show you the video here in a few minutes, and you'll see the things that I'm describing to you. She sits on the hood of a police car for some time. She approaches other cars in the parking lot, you'll see. And this all happens for about 10 minutes before she enters the van. This all occurs on September 25th at around 12:30 p.m.
You said p.m.?
Correct. In the middle of the day, around lunchtime. Ms. Nance was originally reported missing on October 2nd to us, and at the time she was believed to have been seen last on September 27th. Right. After security video showed movement in the van earlier on that same date, it was determined that that timeline was incorrect. So that is part of the problem with why this took so long. So we originally were looking through surveillance video that really we had to look at minute for minute to watch to see somebody enter the parking lot and get into that van. So we literally had to watch 2 weeks of surveillance. We worked our way back to the 27th, and then as we reviewed the video at that point, we saw that there was movement in the van. So we realized she was already there, so we had to then start working backward again. Right? So as you can imagine, this, watching video minute for minute, now we're spending a lot of time trying to find what was going on.
Okay. So I'm going to pause
Rear
right
corner
there
of the
because
parking
already I
lot.
hear a bunch of red flags from a forensic standpoint. Number one, this is the police department that will be held responsible. We got a conflict of interest right off the bat. So you expect me to believe that the department that's going to be held responsible for negligence, oh, they're going to be sued for negligence and liability because it was on their premises. Let's be clear about that. And she was found in a van. So they may hit them for gross negligence because the police van should have been locked. But let me speak forensics here just a little bit. Set my purse down. Set my purse down. All right. Number one, we have an issue because where's the chain of custody being established? Okay. Like I said, it's already a conflict of interest. I don't hear the chain of custody being established. All right. That's number two. Number three, I don't hear the authenticity in terms of them retrieving the electronically stored information. So I have a problem with that. And just because they may have a forensic team there means absolutely nothing to me. Hear me good. Just because they may have a forensic team within the police department does not mean they have a competent forensic team that knows how to conduct thorough collection, retrieval, and storage of electronic information. But hold on a minute, where's the chain of custody? Furthermore, when it comes to surveillance, okay, let me be very clear about this. Their surveillance It's connected to a network. All right. It's a police department. So whether the video footage is being monitored on site, and I'm going to assume it's on site, but we'll verify, or at an off-site location, there's someone there to monitor the footage at all times. This is a police department. They already started off wrong. Strike 1, 2, and 3, right off the back. Let me say it again. These cameras are connected to a network. We have network administrators for a reason. They monitor the networks, right? Traffic flowing to and over the network. Okay, so we get that part. But when it comes to on-site monitoring of surveillance video footage, you have someone in control rooms who are supposed to be monitoring cameras at all times. So I have an issue with that. So you mean to tell me, with people monitoring, whether it's police department or whether they contract out, or should be monitoring because it's a police department, right? The perimeter on the outside and inside of the police department, that no one, and keep in mind, this is a high traffic area for police officers. She just lay on the grass, sit on a police car. Okay. And she's never approached by the police officers at any time for any reason. And let me say it again. This is a high traffic police area. No one can show me that the video surveillance footage that they're talking about has been authenticated. That means it hasn't been tampered with, edited, modified, and nothing's been deleted. Also, in the chain of custody, it would be a data policy, right? We need to know how they're backing up their data. We need to know what it's being backed up into. We need to know how many days does it overwrite itself after so many days. We need to know what the data policy is, right? So you have officer or sheriff or whoever he is out here saying these things, and I have issue from a digital forensic standpoint. Number one, this police department will be held liable. Her demise happened on their premises, as far as we know. Why are they conducting any type of investigation? Nobody can make that make sense. We know in the United States of America, police officers, police departments, sheriffs, and the like have a habit of tampering with evidence. And just because they come out and show some video footage does not mean that they're showing it in the chronological order. It doesn't mean that the events that they're showing happen sequentially as they're presenting the information. Let me be clear about that. It's the reason why there's a digital forensic field. So strike 1, 2, and 3 for me. Now we will fast forward. I'm gonna fast forward this. Shoes by the van, extremely suspicious, but we're gonna get there because again, this is a high volume traffic area. There are police in and out of this area all the time. It's a police department, is it not? They have to go to their cars. They have to go to their vans. Do they not? And you expect for me to believe this with unauthenticated video footage and no chain of custody, and I'm going to believe their word, and they're going to be held liable and get hit with negligence? Don't play with me. Now, let's move on. Okay. So, because this video footage that he's showing, hold on. First of all, like I said, chain of custody from somebody else, not them. And then that chain of custody better include the data policy. And then I need to know if it's on-site, off-site monitoring. And because this is a police department, again, I'm going to assume it's on-site. And if you are monitoring surveillance cameras on-site and you're the police department, that's 24 hours a day. And again, this is a high volume traffic area. Now let me go here to this unauthenticated video footage is what I'm gonna call it right now that he's showing. No, you have to show me documentation, and I want the serial numbers for every camera that's being utilized. And I want the make and model in the year. Come on. All of that belongs on a chain of custody sheet, as well as the data policy, as well as how the electronic information was collected / that means retrieved, stored, and handled. Okay. And they say this is her. How do they know this is her? Again, I'm going to go back to authentication. Just because you a police department don't mean you don't have to authenticate. Stop it.
Sure that you understand. So this is the video as it looks to us as we review the video. Let me point out real quick. I'm going to point out real quick where the van is. That is the van that we'll be looking at. And so as you can see right now, we already pushed play. We're already rolling on the video. And I want to hit stop real quick on this. I want to point out something we want to make sure that everybody knows is that the time stamp on this is exactly 12 hours off. So as you can see, it looks like it says AM. This is actually in the middle of the day. It's PM. So it's the time stamp is off by 12 hours. So this is just after lunch on Saturday.
Pause for a minute. The time stamp is off by 12 hours. Again, it is a reason why this digital forensic field exists. And let me say it again, with the time stamps being off, that's one of the biggest red flags ever for me. Just because you show video footage, it does not mean it is chronologically being shown. It does not mean the events are being shown in the order in which they occurred. And the fact that the timestamps are off to me says this hasn't been authenticated. Where's the team to come in and get a warrant for this police department? This is why the Department of Justice needs this, to get all of the electronic devices off of the premises, or a bit by bit copies with hash values that match from every hard drive as it pertains to the surveillance. Time stamps off by 12 hours. Okay. Let me go back. Excuse me. Start it over. Let me pull it back up to where we were. Should be right here.
On this, I want to point out something we want to make sure that everybody knows is that the time stamp on this is exactly 12 hours off. So as you can see, it looks like it says AM. This is actually in the middle of the day. It's PM. So it's the timestamp is off by 12 hours. So this is just after lunch on Saturday, the 25th. All right, so we'll roll it again. And I want you to pay close attention to just how difficult it is to see anything in these videos. You know, we'll show you in a few minutes how we can zoom in to some degree, but as you zoom in, you lose, it becomes more pixelated and more difficult to see. But if you will watch here in just a few minutes, you'll start to see her come into view as she's walking toward us in the distance on Wheeler Avenue. And I'm going to walk over and point out where you will see her first come up on the
But it's
video.
pixelated. So really, if it's that pixelated or that distorted,
We want this
Do
to
you
play
really
for
know
just
who
a
it
minute
is?
so that you can understand, and
Okay.
the public can understand.
no.
You can see her there walking, the figure walking along the street. Again, investigators had to sit and watch this video minute for minute. For hours to
Investigators
finally
from where?
find this.
Alabama?
Just for clarity, can you
No.
point her out one more time?
Sure, she's actually gone behind a car. So what I'll do, so we wanted to show you this raw version of the video. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and stop it here, and we're going to show you an where we zoom in, right? Okay, so we'll switch now.
So he said it was raw. That means authentic in its native form? Really? Where's the documentation for that?
And again, watch from the same area. You'll see her walk toward the camera.
12 hours off on the timestamps? Okay. Yeah.
She actually, it appears that she sits behind that patrol car for some time. She, as you can see, she went behind the patrol car and is not reemerged.
But timestamps are 12 hours off. No chain of custody. No warrant issued by somebody else.
And again, make sure you note that October 7th is the day that we found her. And so we had to work back all the way from October 7th to now we're on September 25th to be able to find this bit of video that shows her in the parking lot and get into the van.
And is this an HDD surveillance camera?
It's on our building. It's maintained and serviced by the City of Huntsville.
Okay.
General
City of
Services.
Huntsville,
So
yeah.
we obviously have access, but
So
those,
it's a city camera?
it is a city camera.
City camera,
correct.
okay.
This camera is actually a somewhat recent addition within the last couple of
Okay.
years. This
It's a
camera
recent
has been put
camera.
on the building just to add more.
And what
video
type of
footage
camera
for
is
better
it? Because I
security.
need to know
And you can see her out again now, walking.
if it's any lag time in the cameras. As data is being captured over a network. Also, I need to know how many frames per second are being captured, because that's going to matter. And it's not a single still shot.
Chief, is this camera fed anywhere? Does anybody have a monitor where they can look at this?
No, I don't believe we have any kind of, we have so many cameras that we monitor. No one's sitting and watching this specific camera that I'm aware of, no. These are just so that if you have an event and you need to go back and look, you have the ability
Oh,
to do that.
so it's not being monitored. Oh,
You see
okay.
she just leaned against the patrol car.
I don't believe him. But that's what he said. Okay. Seems like a cover up to me, but okay. Come on. With this unauthenticated video footage you're showing, come on. with the timestamps being 12 hours off. Come on. Without a third-party
We will be
forensic
providing you
team.
with a copy of this.
Okay. A bit-by-bit copy from the original hard drives. Hash values that match. But we still need to know at any time, was anything powered off?
As you can see there, how difficult she is to see at that point.
Difficult to see, but you're going to assume it's her. Okay. With timestamps being 12 hours off. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's a reason why in this forensic field, the field of science, in the field of engineering, in the field of technology, we have best practices to follow. So that's when you're presenting information as it pertains to electronically stored evidence and data, you don't sit up and say, well, the timestamps are 12 hours off and this is raw data. Really? Okay.
Is it designated in any particular way? Is it a public lot? Is this one your lot? What is this?
So this portion is not a public lot. This side is only HPD vehicles. There's actually a gate arm that you have to have a key card to enter this part of the parking lot. However, as you can see, you can walk into it.
So you have to have a key to get in the parking lot.
And here's where she goes along beside the van. You'll see her go to the rear of the van, and then she doesn't reemerge, and that's where she enters the van.
Did you see her enter the van, or you just speculate?
So from this point forward, there are numerous times throughout the next few days where you see movement inside the van. We actually see those windows. I'll point to the windows I'm going to refer to. Those windows actually pop out and open, then they close, and they pop open again. So there were several times, primarily those windows opening, I believe were the 28th, when those windows opened that were very prominent, and then they stay open. They ended up open all the way until the time that the officer found her. So, you know, I think what really distresses us and pains us is that we know that there are, you know, you guys will have some of this video, but cars go by, people walk nearby the van. You know, we just wish that she would have hollered out to someone or
so it's
or
a high
something,
volume
you know,
traffic
because,
area.
there were plenty of, unfortunately, there was what we see as potential opportunities for this to not be a tragedy. And
but you need a key to get inside.
You know, no one was
to
able
drive
to
inside.
realize she was in that
she was
van.
able to walk in, but it's fenced in. Okay.
A couple of things I want to talk about now, just sort of as a follow-up.
Okay.
So, you know, when the officer found her, of course, we worked this as any other crime scene, potential crime. You know, the body was sent for a preliminary autopsy.
And someone from Alabama that sits on Congress, that's a Congress rep there, wants an independent autopsy conducted, because we know people can submit bogus autopsies too, especially if you're working with the police department. And you taking some time. Now, I'm not saying these people are taking any type of side deals, underhand deals, and out the woozah deals, but this is an extremely suspicious death. Timestamps 12 hours off. Oh, but nobody monitors, nobody's sitting up monitoring that area at all 24 hours a day. Okay. All right. I'm still waiting to hear authentication of what they just showed. I'm still waiting to hear I want to hear warrant. And again, let me be clear. They should not be investigating. It's a conflict of interest. How are you going to conduct an investigation and you're going to be held liable because it happened on your premises? Period. This is why the Justice Department needs to investigate this. I am not expecting a police department in the United States of America to govern themselves appropriately. Let the record show. Historically, it's a bad idea.
We're waiting for the full results, which would include the toxicology, but we did get, as you know, the preliminary, which showed obviously no trauma to the body, no signs of any foul play.
Okay, yeah, right.
Just something about the van, just so you know, the van was purchased in 1995. So we've had this van for a long time. When we originally purchased this van, it was when the city of Huntsville and the Huntsville Police Department maintained a jail. And so we used that van to transport prisoners or jail inmates. In the early 2000s, when we switched over and the Madison County Sheriff's Department took over the operations of the jail, that vehicle was repurposed. We didn't need it for that anymore. So we primarily used it for two different things. One was in the event that an arrestee out in the field couldn't get into a patrol car, whether it was something to do with their physical attributes or whether it was a handicap situation, we would send that vehicle out so that we could transport them, humanely, I guess you would say. So that's one of the uses that vehicle is used for, which that was very rare. Which it was used more often to take evidence that had been cleared by the courts, evidence that was no longer needed. That evidence is to be taken to be destroyed. And so that van was used by the evidence technicians to do that. That van had last been used in March of this year for that purpose. It had been sitting there unused since March.
Unused and unlocked?
Well, we don't know just exactly, apparently it was unlocked when we got there. When we got to the van and found Miss Nance in it, those back doors were unlocked. So,
Were you able to open the doors from the inside?
no, you're not, because of its original design. It does not have handles on the inside because it was made for transporting prisoners or inmates. So you cannot exit once you get into the van. You cannot exit from the interior of the van. No, there's a divider, so that if you were if there were an inmate or something behind you, you wouldn't want that inmate to be able to get to you if you're driving the van. So there's a divider.
If it was a transport van, you couldn't open it from the inside. You mentioned the windows. Could a person climb through that window, or are they too narrow?
You couldn't climb through it, but it wouldn't take much to knock that window out because the way those windows punch outward, that window would not take a whole lot of force to open or punch completely open. However, it was open plenty to hear outside the van or to yell to outside of the van. Certainly there was access to the outside world through those windows. But again, she would open and close them, and we simply have no idea of knowing what her state of mind was, what was going on there. Again, we just it's just a tragedy. We wish it'd come out different.
So she got in because the doors were unlocked, and then she was trapped, essentially?
Well, essentially, yeah, you can't, once you're in that van, you can't get out of that van. Somebody has to let you out of the van.
There was some reference last night to prior contact, apart from arrest between your department, folks that would help people in mental distress. Can you talk a little bit about that background?
I can, and I want to be really careful with this question. The last thing we want to do is, have anything negative toward a victim of something like this.
Right. That's the last thing you want to do is talk about mental distress. Let me go back to timestamps being 12 hours off. I'm going to go back to authentication because in this field of digital forensics, authentication is vital. Yeah. Having a chain of custody is vital. All right. Knowing data policies and the modus operandi of how this police department flows is vital. All of that is vital. So for people who have taken the preconceived notion that that is her, excuse me, I'm going to need to see the still shots after it's cleared up by somebody in my field using some digital forensic tools. Because he talks about it's over pixelated. Okay. That's what the digital forensic tools are for. They can deal with over pixelation. And de-blur images for clarity's sake. But authentication matters. Sister said September the 27th is the last time that she spoke and saw her sister. Police said here seems that when they looking at footage, someone that they alleged was her was seen around the 25th. That's a conflict right there. Officers saw shoes. That's interesting. Again, they should not be investigating. Number one, conflict of interest. They're going to get sued and be held liable. And are you really expecting for the department that's going to be held liable for a person's death to thoroughly investigate themselves? No. No, I don't. No. The Justice Department needs this case. So police saw shoes. Okay, but this is a high volume traffic area. I need you all to keep that in mind. This is a high volume traffic area for police. Police are in this area all the time. This is a high volume traffic area for police officers. To get in the perimeter, in the little gated area in the police department, you need a key. If you're in a car, he said, but you can clearly see people can just walk in. But if you're gonna have a vehicle in, you need a key. What type of fences is out there? What type of fence or what type of gating or enclosure? So I'm gonna have to zoom in and take a look at that. Again, he said this is the raw data. I don't care nothing about what you say in terms of raw data unless it has been authenticated. And we'll take it from there. Yeah. So the police didn't see the shoes before then, and the windows were open, okay? So you mean to tell me she didn't hear the police in the traffic, but the windows open? Windows are open, so she threw her shoes out. Okay, you say there's her shoes. Where's the forensics off the shoes? Who DNA is on the shoes? You know I want all that information. I want everybody DNA that's on the shoes. Stop playing with me. Some people play too much, while others just don't think the thing all the way through thoroughly in terms of investigate. I want the forensics from inside the van too. I want to know every officer who was in the van, whoever utilized the van. I also want to know the badge number of the officer who allegedly found her in the van, saw the shoes and found her. Come on now. Justice Department need to investigate. Seems like a cover up to me. Timestamps, 12 hours off. Okay. Okay. Like I said, it's a reason we have best practices in this field. Hey, Cha-Cha. And P Legal. Hey, I see you.
Familiar with her.
Can you be more specific about how they work, what types of resources they offer her?
Well, you know, our CIT unit works with those who struggle with any type of, you know, see, I want to really, the last thing we want to do, right, is turn her into any kind of She's the victim here.
Okay,
right?
let's move on.
And so-
Let me get right here. Let me
On
let
October
me
2nd.
let me go back a little bit, because
mental altered states
That's-
and things like that.
Okay, and how, has it been about a year, you know, how long?
Since the last contact,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that exact time that the last officer had that type of contact.
so she had contact with officers.
Timeline again of when the family says they last saw her, when they reported her missing, when she actually entered the van.
Yeah, so the timeline is that we have her entering the van. So she goes into the van, and this is now, I'm giving you the timeline based on what we now know. She entered the van on
Did you see her get in the
September
van?
25th at around 12:30, right, just around noon. So
Because video footage wasn't clear.
the family reported her missing on October 2nd. What we were told is the last time they saw her was September 27th.
And you're saying September 25th.
Right?
Okay.
So, and then we found her on October 7th.
Is there any way that, I guess, a policy change, or since the van was unlocked, how are you guys addressing that moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it is the policy.
And
to
that's
keep
why
vans
y'all gonna
locked.
get
To
sued.
keep all city vehicles should remain locked anytime they're not in use or occupied. So, you know, that is just something that we have to look at as an
Right.
accountability
You-
issue on our part.
You're gonna
We
get
have to
hit with
address that
negligence.
and make sure that we don't accidentally leave any vehicle unlocked at any point. So, you know, sometimes you just have to say. that was,
Negligence,
something
that's
that
what it
shouldn't
was.
have
Call it
happened.
what it is.
It did. Our policies are such that that should not have happened. And now we have to look at that, and we have to make sure that we have things in place so that that does not happen again.
And going further than that, so do you not have people monitoring the lot just for any vehicle, just to make sure that everything is going well in the lot specifically?
No, you know, that lot is for police personnel. There are police officers in and out of that lot 24 hours a day,
24
7
hours
days
a day,
week.
7 days a week,
In
and didn't
fact,
nobody.
You know, you can see, we see officers in and out of this parking lot all day on these
Okay.
surveillance videos. We watch people moving through the parking lot continuously, day in and day out, throughout these, you know, from the 25th until the 7th as we watch video. So, you know, there's really not a big need for specific security, because we kind of provide that security in our constant movement
But-
in and out of that parking lot.
So you said that the officer who discovered the body noticed some shoes next to the van.
That's correct.
Do you believe those were her shoes, and where were they located in proximity to the van?
Yeah, so we do believe that they were her shoes, and they were literally straight under that window that I told you popped out. They were right on the ground, right beside the window.
Extremely
So was
suspicious.
the shoes or a smell that caught his attention?
It was the shoes. He saw the shoes, he thought that was odd to see shoes laying there.
And how were the shoes laying?
A lot
What
of times, so
position were the
this
shoes
entrance
in?
here, there's an entrance in that other video. You can see that there's an entrance just below where that camera sits. That doorway is the doorway into this building that you enter a lot of times over here on the side, or sometimes exit when you come into this room. This hallway is used for a lot of officers who go to our internal city gym and to the records division, right? So we have officers who come in and out of this area just constantly. And so a lot of officers, they're familiar with what cars tend to be in the parking lot, what, you know, the way that things tend to be situated, right? And so to see shoes sitting there, that officer saw it, and being very observant, realized that he had
Sounds
never seen
like
that before,
a
and that was out of
cover
the
up
norm.
to
And so he
me.
went over to look and investigate what was going on and discovered her body in the van.
Is there any point on the video when you see the shoes either drop out of the window or appear, or do you know when the shoes were left there?
Yeah, we could not. And so something about this is you can see this video that
Sounds
we've just
like
shown you now. You can tell it
cover
is
up
more
to me.
pixelated than the video we showed you earlier that was really backed away, right? And so the problem is that the closer you get, the more pixelated it becomes, and the more small things you can't pick them out. And so, you know, we believe that just you can't see it when the video is back enough, and as you get too close to it, it
That's what
pixelates
the
out such
digital
small movements.
forensic tools
So
are
you can't
for.
see it. But you can
To clear up
see when
things
those
like
windows
that.
open. That it changes the angle, really, and that reflection on that window during the daylight. You can see that. But something small like shoes, we just weren't able to pick that out.
Can you speak about about how this morning went with the family when you showed them the video?
Yeah, well, you know, anything like this, anytime you deal and deal with the tragedy and the loss of a loved one, it's tough. And so, you know, I'll say that this has been a difficult time for them. It's been a difficult time for our investigators. And
You all shouldn't be
and
investigating.
so,
I'm gonna
you
tell
know,
you
it was a
that
tough
off the
morning.
bat. I'm gonna keep saying it.
Would your message be to the family?
Well, certainly that we're here for them. We want to work through this with them. It's a tragedy, and you know, as the police department, our goal, our job is to do everything we can to serve them, to serve all of our public, and we're here to work through this with them. And it's just
y'all
a
gonna get
terribly
hit with
unfortunate situation.
serious lawsuit. Serious lawsuits.
Okay, one more question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The police car that's in the corner by the van, is that out of service? What do you know about that vehicle?
That vehicle, I hate to tell you the wrong answer, but that vehicle usually sits there. I believe it is an out-of-service vehicle.
Just I'm wondering about how, watching all that video, and just wondering, you know, hoping the
Yeah.
outcome would change.
Yeah.
If you saw how proximate anybody got to that van in that span of time, near misses, that kind of thing, within the parking lot itself.
There were near misses, for sure. There were absolute, and that's the struggle that we have, right?
Deputy
We don't know
Chief.
her mental state,
Okay.
right? But there were clearly opportunities
McClover.
for this to
Okay.
have ended differently.
All right. And so that's what the chief had to say. And excuse me for talking all the way through that. I will drop that video link in the description below when I edit this, but seems like a cover up to me. You don't come out and tell somebody in this field that the video, the timestamps are off by 12 hours. I already struck you out before you got started on authentication, chain of custody and a warrant. Strike 1, 2, and 3. Now, for everybody else saying, oh, that was her, she just, hold on. Did you see her enter the vehicle? Because he talks about things being over pixelated, and you're not going to tell me you thought those were her shoes. How did they get there? You better show me some video footage of her throwing her shoes out the window or some shoes out the window. You don't come up here and say you got all the, we went through so much video. Excuse me. If you're going to come out and say, we don't know how they get there, maybe she threw them out the window. What proves she threw them out the window? Y'all went over hours and days of video footage, right? And you shouldn't have been doing that. Period. Justice Department needs this case. Sounds like and seems like a cover up to me. Period. Period. And I cannot prove that it is, and they cannot prove that it isn't. Period. But what I can say is, you showing video footage that has not been authenticated. I'm gonna tell you that right off the back. Now, what's your data policy? How is this being backed up, stored, maintained? Okay, it's the city. It's the city. He said it was the city of Alabama surveillance camera. Fairly new within the last few years. Okay. Then one day he just go out and see some shoes. But officers who need a key to get in are in this area 24/7. His words, not mine, 7 days a week. How in the world? If the officers who are trained to pay attention to details, and this is where I come on my rant now, because come on now, you know, I did it in the Kanika Jenkins case and I got to do it again. You mean to tell me trained police officers, sheriffs, and detectives who are in the area every day, all day, 24/7 out the area didn't know windows were open? On a van that you said they didn't utilize since March. Seems like a cover up to me. No, sir. Absolutely not. And when the shoes were found, what position were they found in? And when the shoes were found, what position were they found in? and the shoes haven't been sent to forensics to get everybody's DNA off the shoes? And can you verify that her DNA are even on the shoes? Is her footprint impression inside those shoes? Because nobody has the same footprint impression. Everybody, I don't care, we have the same size feet. Everybody has a unique footprint impression. Okay? So glad that everybody has a different genetic makeup. DNA is a powerful and a wonderful thing. And again, this is the raw data. Okay. Unauthenticated that you out here showing. All right. And then everything is over pixelated, so you can't see nothing. But we have digital forensic tools that can clear things up for clarity's sake. Okay. And I don't have a chain of custodies that I've seen. Okay, I'm gonna have to go to the website and look for the chain of custody. And in that chain of custody, you better have every make and model of the electronic devices that were being used. Also, you better have the data policy on there. We need to know how the electronic devices were being maintained throughout these few days. And I find it a bit peculiar that in video footage where police officers are 24/7, 7 days a week, in that video footage that he attempted to show, I didn't see a single police officer in there. Isn't that a bit interesting? See, I don't like when people come out and play games. Sounds like a cover up to me. Let me pull it back. And in the video footage that you came out and presented to the public, with police officers being in this police department area that's specifically for police, I don't see a single officer in the video footage, but police officers are in this area 7 days a week, 24/7. And he said it's a high volume traffic area for cops. So how that happened? And then you come out and you don't show the police officer in the video footage that found her? Excuse me. Then you come out and you don't show video footage of the police officer that allegedly found her in the van, that only police have keys to get into, or detectives or sheriffs, that hadn't been utilized since March, that should have been locked. That's why y'all getting sued. That's one reason. Y'all getting ready to get hit with liability and negligence. And really, that van being unlocked really falls under gross negligence, from my perspective. But the attorneys have handled that. We already know it's negligent. Now let's see if they get hit with gross negligence. We already know what it's going to basically fall under: wrongful death, right? Okay, let's get that out the way, but let me pull this back. So you mean to tell me police officer found her shoes, okay? October the 7th, and didn't no other police officer see it since then. But they in this area 24/7, 7 days a week. And they have to have keys to get into this area. If they're driving their vehicles, you know, you got to have a key to get into this special area. Then you see windows open, right? Windows pop out. Okay, you go back, you look at videos of windows popping out. You saw the windows popped out, but hadn't been utilized since March, and not a single police officer. The very first day they allegedly saw the windows open, because he said, not me, windows have been open. They didn't pay attention to that before then, but police are paid to pay attention to detail. Not only are they paid to pay attention to detail, they are trained to pay attention to details. And y'all missed that. But police officers are in this area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a high volume police area. And you expect for me to believe all of this. And then on October 7th, he just go out and mysteriously find some shoes by the van. And again, what position were the shoes in? And is her DNA even on the shoes? Do they even match her footprint impressions? And who else DNA is on the shoes? And again, I want to know what position the shoes were found in. Sounds like a cover-up to me. Then you come out and you tell the news anchors or news reporters, oh, timestamps are 12 hours off. Let me say it again as it pertains to surveillance footage. Just because they're showing you something does not mean it's being shown sequentially. That doesn't mean that they're showing you the footage in the order of which the events occurred. The events and the timestamps need to be synchronized with the day the events occurred, as they happened in real time, or as the data was captured in real time. And again, strike 1, 2, and 3 for me right off the bat was the fact that this video footage had not been authenticated. And I seen no chain of custody. I never heard any reporter ask about that. Body cams from the police officers. Where's that footage at? Where's the body cam from the police officers? Y'all got body cams? Where's body cam footage at? Best practices say suspicious death. Really, an encounter with citizens. Body cam needs to be rolling at all times. That's called covering your behind. Where is the body cam footage from the officers? Especially the one that allegedly found her. Did he find her in plain clothes or did he have on work clothes? I mean, what? And furthermore, how come that video footage was not shown? Stop playing. You said he found her, right? Where's the video footage of him finding her in that parking lot? Sounds like a cover-up to me. Sounds like a cover-up to me. Other people can take this and run and say, you know, she did that. Hold on. Her sister said September the 27th is the last time she's seen her sister. I have siblings. I can tell you the last time I talked to my siblings. Last time she's seen or spoke with her sister, September the 27th. Siblings usually know the last time that they speak or with siblings or see their siblings. Last time I spoke with both my siblings was today. But you came out and said the video footage shows September the 25th. Hold on. You said timestamps were off by 12 hours. And because you did not prove to me that any of this video footage was authenticated, I'm not going to take your word on anything. And then you came out and said timestamps were 12 hours off. And you expect for me to believe you? Sounds like a cover-up to me. Now, he may not know everything. I'll give him that. I'll give him that benefit of the doubt. But what you don't get to do is come out and insult my intelligence. Other people may be falling for this, but I'm not. I know better. And the shoes were found on what day? October the 7th. And what position again were the shoes found in? And why do you assume that those were her shoes without coming out and revealing that DNA indeed confirmed that those were her shoes? The Justice Department needs this case. This is an extremely suspicious death. Again, here we go again. Another extremely suspicious death. Kendrick Johnson, Kanika Jenkins, Sandra Bland. Another extremely suspicious death. Sounds like a cover up to me. Hey, Fire Mama, how you doing? Cha-cha Fire Mama Bushes. Right, P-Legal, always trying to come out and blame the victim. Oh, you said, how about she was dead or dying before she was placed in a van? You said de-escalation training isn't working. 12 hours off, Cha-cha. You caught it too. That's right. Hey, again, Fire Mama. Oh, thank you, Fire Mama. You know I'm gonna be like, right. I'm biased. So the Justice Department need this case. And if you look at my community wall, it was a call to action. Kendra Johnson petition was at 35,000, not Kendra Johnson, but Jelani Day's petition was at 35,000 signatures to get that case out of police hands and into the FBI hands in the state of Illinois, because that's another extremely suspicious death. So when I finish with this live, I'm going to drop that petition so it can be signed as well. That's the call to action. And we're going to call to action this too. Chain of custody. I didn't hear see this. When reporters show up, I always want this information. Can I see the documentation for the chain of custody? Warrant. Who issued the warrant? And the warrant was approved by whom? So we got the Alabama Police Department investigating the Alabama Police Department. Let me pull that back. So we have the Alabama Police Department investigating the Alabama Police Department. Let me pull it back again and slow it down this time. So you mean to tell me that we have the Alabama Police Department investigating the Alabama Police Department? And this is not in chronological order in terms of the order of importance. Duty to preserve. We already know. Let's hit the rules of electronic evidence real quick. Rule 4, Rule 7, rules 34 through 37, and the sub rule 37A, 37B, and all the sub rules. Let's just hit 34 through 37. Let's factor in 4. Let's factor in the rules for the collection of electronic evidence today. Duty to preserve will fall within those rules. Anytime, at any time, you know that you're going to be held liable, or there's a possibility that a lawsuit will incur against your facility or property or premises, automatically you have a duty to preserve all of that evidence, all of the electronically stored information. Okay, I talked about the data policy. I said I wanted to know, okay, it's the city cameras, right? So who sets the policy for the backup? Who's setting the data policies for those cameras? Where's the data policy? Because I need to know how it's backed up, what it's backed up to, and how often it's backed up. I need to know whether anything can be overwritten in a few days, or, you know, how long, where's it going? Is it going to a cloud? So where is it going to? Where are the live data captures going to? Are the cameras mono cameras? Do they only just collect information, or Can it collect and send information, or do they have a bi-directional communication? I mean, what? Video surveillance. Where's the video surveillance of the police officer finding her? Where's that at? Where's the video surveillance of the police officer finding some shoes by the van? They didn't show that. Where's that at? Where is it? I'm gonna wait. And as you get closer, it's really pixelated and you can't see her face. Stop playing. It's digital forensic tools that can clear that up. So that's a no-go area for me. I'm not taking that excuse. And I want to know how those shoes was found. What position were those shoes found in? And whose DNA is on those shoes? Everybody's DNA that's on this shoe or shoes. Did y'all get everybody's DNAs off them shoes? DNA from inside that van that was supposed to be unutilized since March. Okay. Yeah, right. Body cam footage from all the officers in and out of the police department parking lot that's only utilized or reserved for police officers, especially the one who allegedly found her body. And I find it a bit suspicious and mysterious that the video footage that they are showing doesn't show any police officers in there. I find that a bit suspicious, but police officers are in this area 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what he said. Okay. His words, not mine. Yeah, I'm just going to sit back and listen. And go, oh, really? Okay, really? High traffic area for police. Okay. All right. Conflict of interest. Police department will be held liable. She was found dead on their premises inside a vehicle that should have been locked. I don't care how you slice that and dice that, they will be sued. Period. Liability. And negligence. Thank you. As he came out on video doing a press conference and say, police cars should be locked. They're supposed to be locked. That's their policy. Thank you. Thank you for that admission of negligence. Thank you so much, Mr. Officer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That was a moment of truth. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you. Sister said she last spoke with or seen her sister September the 27th. The police is saying in the video footage, which is 12 hours off, and we have no documentation or concrete proof that the video footage was shown in any chronological order. They're saying 25th, they see someone, but it's pixelated. So I don't know if that's her or not. And again, I have not collected, retrieved, store, or maintained this data, and haven't authenticated anything, nor have I seen any documentation on authentication. I'm only going to verify and co-sign what I can validate and prove has been authenticated. I don't co-sign off to video footage like this, saying I have the proof that nothing was nothing. We don't do that in this field. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to sign off on things we know have been authenticated with hash values that match original hard drives that would verify that nothing's been altered, modified, edited, or deleted. And again, let me say it again. I've seen no documentation. And where the chain of custody at? I'm gonna go to the website and I'm gonna look for that chain of custody and I want to see what's in there. If they have it available to the public. And a preliminary autopsy. No foul play was somebody else need to conduct another autopsy. I concur with the minority leader from the state of Alabama. An additional autopsy needs to be conducted. Yeah. 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 You know, we know about first and secondary lividity. I just need, it's so much information I just need to know that's not given. Remember, I like to look at what's given, and then I'll go through and organize what's not given that should be given to make the equation complete. Let me charge this. Right. Right, P legal. So other eyes are on this, but as a people, it goes back to what, to a degree, what many of us did for Kenneka Jenkins. You know, different people ran out and started different petitions and gathered signatures for that. Now, Jelani Day gathered so the FBI can investigate that. But this right here, this needs to go directly to the Justice Department, because I'm not going to trust anyone else to investigate this at this time unless it's coming from the Justice Department. And when they do it, they better do right. Because you gotta watch everybody. So, shoes. He just walked out there October and seen some shoes. They reported her missing October the 2nd. Last seen by her family, and I'm going to go with her sister words, September the 27th. Police come out, say no. In this video footage, we see a person that they allege is her on some unauthenticated video footage with timestamps off by 12 hours, that's her. People wondering why I say it seems like a cover up to me, because 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, police officers are in and out of that area. You heard it directly from little sheriff or whatever he was himself. He said it from his mouth. That's a high volume traffic area for police officers. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Did you see any police officer footage shown of them finding her body in the van? Have you seen that? Did they show that? Did you see any footage of them finding shoes next to that van? And in the footage they did show, with police officers being there, allegedly in and out of the area 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Did you see any officers in the video footage? I didn't see any officers in that video footage that he showed. I find that extremely suspicious, contingent upon what he said. Yeah. Yeah. I find that extremely suspicious. And again, timestamps 12 hours off. Okay. No. No. Mm-mm. Fire Mama, that's what I said towards the beginning. It would be nice if a third party would get a warrant, because remember, you need warrants, and just retrieve the entire unit that did the data capture for those days, or get a bit-by-bit copy of all of the hard drive, the original hard drives, and their volatile state. Because remember, when you power electronic devices down or off, a different set of algorithms appear. Yeah? That's different data you're dealing with now. It's certain data you need to capture in its volatile state. When you get to powering down electronics, data that can be captured in that moment is lost, or retrieved in a moment is gone. So we need data captures in the volatile state. That means with electronic devices powered up. We don't want to give anyone the opportunity to go in and power down any electronic devices. We don't want to do that. We want to get this data in its volatile state. So P-Legal, I would like a third party to come in with a warrant. I would also like to know how the data is being backed up. Where is it being backed up to? Is it being backed up to a cloud? Is it being backed up to an electronic device? Where is it going? All that deals with the data policy. How is this data being preserved and stored? Where is the chain of custody? How come no other police officers are shown in that video footage? With that stuff that they came out there and showed? No. No, ma'am, no, sir. All right, electronically stored, ESI, electronically stored information, and that's what A is. Collected, retrieved, stored, maintained. Vital is authentication when it comes to electronically stored information / evidence / data. Validation is important. Conflict of interest. Party held liable is conducting their own investigation. That's a direct conflict of interest. The Justice Department needs to investigate this. Sounds like another cover-up to me. She said September the 27th. They come out with some footage talking about somebody seen here September the 25th, but he kept saying repetitiously, pixelated, pixelated, pixelated. Pixelations, pixelation, pixelation, pixelation. Well, I'm going to keep saying digital forensic tool, digital forensic tool, digital forensic tools. To clarify, to clarify, to clarify. This is when you take it to the best digital forensic videographers in the world. Yeah. Timestamps right off the bat, 12 hours off. And I wish the reporters would have asked. See, sometimes reporters, unless they are in this and understand this, digital forensic fields, really, sometimes they don't know the right questions to ask. Because I would have said again, okay, so timestamps not synchronized with video footage. 12 hours off? Okay. And you just said this was the raw data. Okay, so where's the documentation for the authentication on what you're speaking of? Where's the documents showing me that you got a bit by bit copy that you write blocked first? And that means it's only in read mode and this data was collected. And then how was it stored? And who was maintaining it? And to this day, whose hands was this data in? But the last time they used the van was March. Really? And you just happen to see, a police officer just happened to see some shoes outside a window. Really? And you go back and you look at the video footage and windows were popped, they popped open. Okay, really? And you mean to tell me it was windows popped open prior, but police officers didn't notice that? And police officers are in this area 24/7, and not a single police officer or sheriff or whatever thought to say, why are these windows open? But they're trained to pay attention to details. Stop. Sounds like a cover up to me. So I'm gonna wait for some more evidence and information, because right now this is insufficient. They were showing some of it. You're saying warrants need to be served on Huntsville Police Department, Northville, Alabama, multi. Yes, they do. And it needs to come from the Justice Department. Okay, you're saying they have drones. Where's the drone footage? We've not seen any drone footage. We've not seen any footage from police officers' body cams. If they have that available, we've not seen any video footage showing an officer finding her body inside the van. We've not seen any video footage of police officers allegedly finding shoes outside the van. We've not seen any within the video footage. We've not even seen police officers in the video footage that they presented. But he said, this is a high traffic area for police officers, high volumes of traffic for police officers. They are in and out of this area 24/7, 7 days a week. And the van should have been locked. It hadn't been utilized since March. That leads me to believe that the van was never locked or was utilized after March. It was either the van was never locked in March, or two, it was utilized after March. Let me pull that back. He said the last time the van was utilized was in March. So if you're going to tell me the last time that van was utilized in March, well, then you better back up some video footage and run it all the way back to March. because I want to see that too. It's work from March on to where we are today. I'm gonna need proof that the last time that van moved was in March. Where's the video footage for that? Also, I would like to know who was the last officers or officer that utilized that van in March. I want to know how many officers were frequenting or had been at this van or utilized this van since March. Who was the last one in the van in March that didn't lock the door? Or was it others that did utilize the van after March? See, it's so many questions that I have. And other people will say, oh, they'll look at the footage and say, oh, it was her. She walked outside. And me, I say, nope. Suspicious, suspicious. Sounds like another cover up. Too much information missing. Stop playing with me. Too pixelated to see her face. Okay. All right. But the person did all of this, and you're not showing me any officers in and out the facility, the area, the perimeters, doing this video footage you showed, and the footage that you presented. Furthermore, you didn't start off the most powerful way, would have been showing the officer that you allege found her. Show us the video footage pertaining to that. We want to see that. I do. Show me that. Show me that. Go ahead, blur his face out. If you scared people gonna be after him, but show me for him finding her in that van. Because that video should be available. And show me him finding some shoes, because that should be available as well. And show me the DNA from them shoes. We want that information too. And if it's body cam footage from the officer's camera, I definitely want that. See, this is a bit too mysterious to me, too suspicious. When video should be made available in its entirety, you come out with this little unauthenticated stuff. Fire Mama, you know what? That's the question everybody has been asking too. Did she have a cell phone? Everybody's been asking that question. I don't have the answers to that. The police didn't give us that information. You would have thought she had a cell phone, some ID, some type of purse or something else on her. But hey, you know, like I said, this is extremely suspicious to me. You know, did she have a cell phone? Did she have a purse? Why did the police, how did the police officer, what position were those shoes in when the police officer found them? Because they're gonna say, oh, we found some shoes outside a van. And I say, what position were the shoes found in? And don't tell me a person probably threw their shoes outside the van and both of the shoes landed straight right next to each other. So again, what position were the shoes found in? How close were they to the van? Whose DNA is on the shoes? Yeah. Yeah, people like to play games. All from his mouth. All from his mouth. But on the onset, I'll say it again, he lost me due to lack of authentication of video footage being shown. You gonna lose me right there. You're gonna lose me by conducting your own investigation, and you're the parties that's going to be held liable and responsible. That's a conflict of interest. You're going to lose me by thinking that I will be one of those ones who would assume or have a preconceived notion that you're not going to mysteriously do away with some type of evidence, or that you wouldn't come out and paint a certain narrative. You're going to lose me right there. We see how this mess go. We saw the way they did the Kanika Jenkins case. First, they tried to come out and say, oh, it was a suicide. Somebody at first, they was trying to investigate it as a homicide. Then somebody was out there running prematurely saying, oh, it was a suicide. And then they said this, and then they said that. And then they took too long to get to the video footage. And then you didn't have anything. And then they gave us 36 hours was made available out of hundreds of hours of video footage. See, it's stuff like that. No, I want to see warrants and read through what the warrant says. I want to see the chain of custody and read through your chain of custody. Right, Fire Mama. Did she have a cell phone? Did she have a purse? Did she have a wallet? Did she have some type of bag on her? But she just went inside a van that was supposed to be locked. And when she went inside that van that was supposed to be locked, I'm gonna zoom in on them shoes. Whatever person, I want to see what shoes the person in that video footage had on. And are those the same shoes that the police allegedly found next to the van? And again, what position were the shoes in? But you didn't show that video footage, and that should be available. They didn't show that video footage, and that should be available. Don't come out and show me no video footage talking about it's so pixelated till we really can't, you really can't see the person's face. And the closer you get, the more pixelated it becomes. What? Sounds like a Coverup to me. We're not going to keep doing this foolishness. Every time I think about this, I think about Sandra Bland, how Sandra Bland went into a jail live and came out dead. And then they tried to say, oh, she committed suicide inside the jail where surveillance should have been made available, but we didn't see it. This reminds me of when I was in court a few years back and the police officers came in and said, oh, a node was down on the network. No, I had to tell them, I said, so a node was down over the network. And when a node goes down over the network, you are aware. Yes, we are. So you were aware it was down and you didn't get it fixed? Okay, because cameras represent nodes over networks, okay? So the cameras that we're talking about, they represent a node over the network, yeah? Every camera represents a node on a network. Yeah. And when they said, oh, we don't have the video footage, it happened inside the police department, you just gonna have to take our words. And that particular camera was down. And I said, no, you're gonna have to bring some evidence to corroborate your stories, because I'm not going to believe the police word just because they said it and let that be the testimony. We just saw them do this mess in the R. Kelly case, and then some people fell for that okie doke. I don't play that okie doke there. You better run that footage with some additional corroborating evidence to substantiate what you're saying. No. When footage is available to speak, let the footage speak. Untampered with footage. Unmodified footage. Unedited footage. So we can let the record show. Don't come out and tell me this. This reminds me of so many other instances. Footage should be available to prove that the time the officer found her, the day and the time. They didn't show that. Then he come out and say, oh, time steps 12 hours off. Why? And this high volume area for officers that utilize this area 24/7. Nobody noticed that the windows had been open prior to then, October the 7th. But the police are trained to pay attention to details. They get paid to pay attention to details. But did nobody notice that? Especially coming from a van that hadn't been utilized since March. But you didn't show us the video footage for that either. Well, yeah, see, no, sounds like a cover up to me. Nope. Oh, good, P Legal. Okay, P Legal, that's what he, I mean, Fire Mama, that's what he kept saying. The windows open and they couldn't hear anybody yelling for help or smell that she passed away. Right. Good, P Legal, because, I mean, Fire Mama, good. Because when a person dies, you will smell that stench. The stench of death smells like nothing else. Right? These are police officers. They're trained for this, right? They didn't smell a stench of death with the windows open on the vehicle. They didn't smell the stench of death. Don't no other smell like death, a dead person being discovered. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They're trained for this. They didn't. Good, Fire Mama. Thank you for bringing that point up. And you're saying when the police officer saw, well, Fire Mama, they October the 7th, he just happened to see the shoes. I guess they started finally paying attention to the fact that the windows had been open for days. And then they just mysteriously discovered her in there. Yes, it's definitely negligence. And like I said, they probably get hit with gross negligence. Who did she know that worked at that location? Remember, she had run-ins and encounters with law enforcement before. So you would have, I guess we would have to work back to everybody at that department that she's had an encounter with that's on the police field, that's on the police force. Since he talked about we had to work back and then work up, we'll work back and then work up. But we need them to work back to the day that her body was allegedly discovered by the police officers and show us that video. We need them to work back to authenticating that footage. You're saying was she probably murdered someplace else and placed in a van? Again, who would know to place her there inside the van, P. Legal? Because remember, he said the first autopsy showed no signs of a suspicious death. But then again, like I said, we need another autopsy conducted too, because we know by one of the #1 forensic pathologists in the world, 2 of the #1s in the world, not just in the United States, in the world. What they say is you will get police officers and things like that contaminating the scene, washing away evidence, right? Or contaminating the area, right? So, but to rectify that, all he simply had to do was show us the footage of the police officer finding her body in the van, like he alleged that he found her, and also show us the footage of the shoes. I want to see what position the shoes were in. I want to see the proximity of the shoes from the van. And then I need them to run back, since they was working back, to March and show me from March all the way up to now. I got hours. I will sit up there and watch that for hours. I'll break it up and watch hours at a time. Show me what was going on in that parking lot from March until now. Like I said, blew their officers' face out. Go ahead and blew their face out. Hit them with that Goshen blower and run that data, run that footage. Seems like another suspicious cover up to me. Sounds like another cover up to me. Now I'm gonna let y'all listen again.
Sure. Yeah. So, well, first off, I appreciate you guys joining us this afternoon, to talk about the tragedy that we've been working on and working through here, with our investigations team and with the family to try to figure out exactly what happened. And so, because there's so much information I want to share with you, normally I don't like to read to you, but I'm going to read all of this because we want to give you a lot of information that's detailed. So
we needed you to show us
the
video.
Huntsville Police Department has worked with the family throughout our investigation, and this morning showed them the security video of the events leading up to the discovery of Miss Nance. The Huntsville Police Department's thoughts are with the family during this tragedy. Investigators met with the family Friday morning and showed them the security video of the events leading up to this. The Huntsville Police Department announced Friday, October 15th, information about how Christina Nance entered a parked, unoccupied police van in the rear corner of the parking lot at the Public Safety Complex here at 8:15.
Okay, they always do this. The sound is corrupt. The sound is going corrupt. So I'm going to end this. Sorry, but play it back. Bye, everybody. Sound is off. The sound is off. We'll pick this back up, though. Bye-bye.